Hi guys, my name is Christine and today I'm talking about the final stretch. So keep going, your vision awaits. Okay, so this is a Neville Goddard inspired video. And basically what we're going to be going into today is that there is still time. Okay, and I want to reassure you that there's still time to manifest the things that you want to manifest. Because maybe you made a load of goals at the beginning of 2025 and perhaps you haven't reached those goals, you haven't manifested the things that you wanted to. And maybe you're feeling a bit of despair about that, or perhaps you're just feeling a bit jaded. But there's still time, you know, the year is not over yet. So there's still plenty of things and still plenty of time to create and to manifest the things that you want. So I'm going to start off this video with a quote by Neville Goddard, okay? And then we're going to get into how you can apply it so that you can start to live in the wish fulfilled and for your wishes to manifest in the 3D reality. So the quote goes like this, and this is straight from Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard, and it goes, disregard appearances and feel that things are as you wish them to be. Disregard appearances, so take your attention off the 3D. And basically what this means is to put less focus on what you are seeing and the physical, tangible evidence you can see before you, and think more about things in terms of your energy and your vibration, okay? So this is why Neville Goddard talks and emphasizes so much about feeling is the secret, and that you have to feel as if the wish has been fulfilled, because for a while, the 3D is still going to look exactly the same as how it's always done before things start to materialize. And so you need to focus more on your vibration and focus more on energy. And if you really take time to think about it, we are more energy and vibration than matter, than physical matter. And you can notice this when someone walks into a room and let's say they're in a really bad mood, and you can just sense like the whole room just goes quiet. Everyone starts to become a little bit more on edge because they've noticed that dark energy and that person that's in a bad mood enter the room. Okay, and it's the same as, let's say you're at work and there's like a co-worker that you've got who really uplifts you and uplifts everybody. And you notice that the energy shifts in the room when they enter it, and everyone just sort of relaxes because they've got this certain energy and vibration about them that lifts people up. Okay? And isn't it weird and strange how someone else's strong vibration, whether it be bad or good, can affect you? And the reason why that is because that's the vibration, and your energy is so much more powerful than the 3D reality that we live in. Okay, so that's what it means by disregarding appearances and feel that things are as you wish them to be. That's what I want you to focus on. Focus more so on feeling as if your desires have been manifested, and you got to basically just tap into whatever that frequency is. Okay, so how, I mean, this is a very basic question. How would it feel if everything that you wanted, or that specific thing that you wanted, was here? How would it feel? And then you have to condition yourself to feel that way and to basically be in that energy for as long as you possibly can throughout your day-to-day life. But that's the tricky bit, okay, maintaining that vibration, because yeah, it's easy to feel this way in our daydreams. It's easy to feel great when you're visualizing. It's easy to feel great when you're drifting off to sleep and you're, you know, saying your affirmations, and it's easy to do those things. But how easy is it to maintain that throughout the day when, you know, life makes you react to things, people make you react to things, your 3D reality is making you react? Can you sustain that level of vibration and that level of energy despite your outward world and the 3D? In a way, right? It's how people described Steve Jobs. I don't remember if he actually used this term himself, but he had a reality distortion field or something. It was something along those lines. And basically, what was meant by that was that if Steve Jobs had a goal and something that he wanted to be made, then he would be trying to make that happen no matter what. And it doesn't matter if people are telling him it can't be done. He was like, if it can't be done, find a way to make it work. And that was his mindset, and that's how he made so many amazing products, and also why Apple hasn't really evolved since he passed away, because he was the innovator, he was the real creative. And that's why nothing really new, is just different versions of the things that he created has just come out at Apple, right? But it's just interesting to see, right? It's interesting to know that you can be that powerful. You can find a way if you really, really want to. If you really want to, you can find a way. And so if you really want to, you can feel these elevated emotions, whether that be, that elevated emotion that you would feel if your wishes were fulfilled. You can do that. You can feel that for a very long period of time throughout your day and sustain that level of vibration throughout your day if you really, really, really want to. Okay? So disregard appearances and feel that things are as you wish them to be. So, what are some practical things that you can start to recondition your mind so you can start thinking and feeling and acting and feeling as if the wish has been fulfilled, and changing that energy within yourself so you can sustain it throughout your day, and so you can actually start to see results, because that's what you're wanting, right? If you haven't got what you wanted, you haven't seen the results. So we want you to get the results. So how can you do this? So it has to be part of your awareness, right? You have to get really aware of it. You have to get really conscious of it. So there are a couple of things that Neville Goddard talks about in Feeling is the Secret, and how you can recondition your subconscious mind so you can begin to feel and act as if the wish has been fulfilled on a more consistent basis. Okay, and he talks about sleep and prayer. Okay, now sleep is basically when, before you drop off to sleep, you visualize and you feel as if the wish has been fulfilled. And the reason why you do that before you go to sleep is because your brain waves go much slower just before you're about to drift off to sleep. Okay, and so that means the door to your subconscious mind is much more wide open. Whereas during the day, it's much more difficult to reprogram your subconscious mind or recondition it, because you're reacting to life most of the day. Okay. You're too busy thinking about your job, you're too busy thinking about your kids, thinking about what to cook for dinner, those kinds of things. And your brain is sort of going, but when you're about to drop off to sleep, it sort of like goes much slower like that. And because it's doing that, it's more susceptible to messaging from you. Napoleon Hill described it in his book, Think and Grow Rich, as autosuggestion, right? So your brain is much more suggestible around that time of day when you're about to drift off to sleep. So you just feel the wish fulfilled. You imagine what it would be like to have the things that you wanted, the things that you want, how it would feel, what's the energy, okay? And that's what you do before you drift off to sleep. And you keep on thinking and feeling that way until you fall asleep. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now, prayer, as Neville Goddard describes it in his book, is more about meditation. Of course, you can use the religious connotation if you want to, but instead of going to your deity, whatever religion you're assigned to beg, right? Because, when this is like the Christian sort of like thing. I'm pretty sure other religions do this too, but this sort of prayer sort of like stance, it's kind of like begging, right? But instead of begging, okay, you want to go to your deity to give thanks and to give gratitude for having the things that you want. So if you are going to pray to try and manifest, then go to your prayer in a state of gratitude and feeling as if the wish has been fulfilled, and you're thanking your deity for the gift of whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. And now another way to do this is through meditation, okay, which is the way that Neville Goddard kind of more likely is more descriptive of that kind of thing in Feeling is the Secret. And basically where you lay down and you get your mind to go really quiet, basically what you would do before you go to sleep. But your mind gets quieter because you've got your eyes closed, so there's less stimuli to make your brain waves go up and down too much. And you're more susceptible to messaging because your brain waves have slowed down. And what you do in that is, again, you visualize and you feel as if the wish has been fulfilled. Now, it's important that you visualize, and it's also important that you feel the emotion, okay? You've got to have those two things. There's no point just visualizing. Visualization doesn't do much. You have to have the feeling as well, which is why Neville Goddard's book is called Feeling is the Secret, or at least one of his books is called that. I think it's his most popular, okay? So it's very important that you get the feeling. Okay, so you have to feel it. So that's ways that you can do that, though, how you can sort of begin to recondition your subconscious mind. Now, The next thing though, is really important too, and I really want you to do this, okay? So this is the action step that you can take after this video, and that is, it's a good idea to have some journal prompts, right? So you can write down, and so it becomes really ingrained into your brain, because the more we think about things and we remind ourselves and we journal about who it is that we want to be and how it would feel to have the things that we want, the more we keep it into our brain, and basically the more we sort of like wire it into our brains, and it helps the reconditioning process to how we want to feel and think and behave. So we have this ideal version of ourselves, right? Ideally in our mind, right? So we have an ideal version of ourselves, and this is this little stick figure. You've probably seen this if you've watched some of my videos before, but this stick figure is basically you, and this sort of like stuff around you is your energy field, okay? And your energy field is pretty much made up of how you behave and how you act, how you think, and how you feel. And so you want to think about, okay, so who is this ideal version of me? How does that ideal version of me feel? Now, this ideal version of you has the things that they all want, don't they? This ideal version of you has everything that they've ever wanted. It has everything that there's manifested everything that they need. Okay, so you have to think from the end. That's something that Dr. Wayne Dyer would say. Think from the end. And what that means is you've got to think of how this person is going to be thinking, behaving, and feeling when those things have already manifested. So how would that ideal version of you be thinking? How would that ideal version of you be feeling? How would that ideal version of you be behaving and acting? And basically what you want to do is you want to write down different parts of, well, all of these sections, okay? So you want to write down, this is what you want to journal, okay? You want to write down, how would the ideal version of me think? Okay, so that's one thing that you want to write down in your journal. So I'd suggest that you pause the video and write that down right now. Just write down, you can just write down the question so you can answer it later if you want to. So how would the ideal version of me think? How would the ideal version of me feel? And how would the ideal version of me behave or act? What would they do? Okay? And you want to write those down. And when you wrote those down, you may want to rewrite them every single day, because maybe things will change. Maybe you actually think they'll feel something differently one day. You're like, actually, there's a better version of me than the version of me I created yesterday. So let's try and think about that guy or this woman, right? So this is susceptible to change. But if you think like, okay, well, these are the things that I want, you may just want to reread what you've written previously. So each day, write down how they would think, how they would feel, and how they would act, okay? And keep that with you, okay? And remind yourself of how you want to think, how you want to feel, and how you want to act, okay? And you keep on reminding yourself every day of how you want to be. You want to remind yourself of being the ideal version of you. And the more you do that, okay, the more likely it is that you're actually going to start thinking and feeling and behaving like that ideal version of you, simply because you've put your awareness on it. Now, of course, you may want to visualize and think, okay, I'm going to try and embody this person. I'm going to try and be this person today. And you visualize how you're going to be with your co-workers. You visualize how you're going to be with your friends from this new perspective of the ideal version of you. So that's what you want to start visualizing. So put on some music for 10 minutes, music that inspires you, makes you feel really great, and visualize this person. Visualize this ideal version of you, okay? And then what you'll find is you'll start to act, feel, and behave and think like that person more often, okay? And that's how you can change things. That's how your life begins to change. And I promise you that if you do that, as well as the techniques that Neville Goddard talks about in his book Feeling is the Secret, about sleep and prayer, which we've already discussed, if you do that as well, then you'll notice changes pretty quickly, okay? You'll probably notice changes within 24 hours, even if it's just in your new vibration, even if it's just in your new behavior and in your new habits, okay? So yes, this is the final stretch towards 2026, but I promise you that if you follow along with this video, if you do what I've laid out in this video, then I promise you that you'll begin to see changes pretty soon. Within 24 hours, you'll at least see changes in your own behavior. And by the end, okay, of the year, I guarantee that you will have manifested more things than you could ever possibly imagine that you want, just by simply doing this exercise and following along with this video. So I highly recommend that you save this video, come back to it at time and time again. Maybe it's something that you want to watch every single morning or something like that. But I promise you that I promise that things will change for you if you do this, if you apply this, okay? And if you ingrain it into your brain. Okay, because it's a practice, you see. Okay, it's not a once and done thing. And I've talked about this a lot quite recently here on this channel, and that is, I don't really like the word reprogramming your subconscious mind, because that kind of, when I think about that, I sort of visualize, a man at his computer or a woman at her computer, and she's punching in a bunch of digits, and the whole thing gets rewritten and it's reprogrammed. It's a once and done thing. Whereas really, to change who you are, to change how you feel, so you're living in the wish fulfilled, is a reconditioning process. You have to keep on reminding yourself to do it. It's a practice that you have to keep on doing over and over and over again, day in and day out, until it becomes your dominant vibration. But I promise you that it will happen. You will change the way that you feel. You will change your energy. You will feel like you're living in the wish fulfilled the more often you do it, and you rewire and recondition your brain into feeling, thinking, and acting that way. Okay, and especially if you start to embody it and you actually start to practice it in your day-to-day life. Okay, it's practice. Okay. It might be a bit of a tedious practice, but if you put in the effort, then the universe will give you rewards. The universe will give you rewards for that effort. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christinelovridge.com. But it's not necessary, because you can just keep on watching this video over and over and over again, because it's pretty much just all you need. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.